All right, everyone, let's get into non like movie trailer stuff because we don't do anything off of those. I just try and stay away from movie trailers as much as possible just because they get destroyed. But no, you know what? We're gonna watch some Brandon Herrera. He's and the G36. So, you guys don't know. I wouldn't call myself a gun nut. Enthusiast, yes. Do I have the tism? I'm not like X count. That's the best way to put it. I'm not like the X count. I don't have the tism for guns. But I do thoroughly enjoy guns. So, yep, more guns it is. We need more guns. But yeah, this is on the HKG36, which is by definition actually an assault rifle. I'm pretty sure Brandon will go into detail because there's an actual definition for assault rifle, not what people claim. Oh, an AR-15 is an assault rifle. No, it's just a rifle. It's a semi-automatic rifle. That's all it is. The rifle has to have more than safe and fire for selectors. So I'm sure Brandon will go into this because he is going to be a politician. He's trying to make sure everyone has knowledge. He's trying to be a good politician. It'll only be good if he serves like 4 years max and out. So just saying. Anyways, let's check out Brandon Herrera. I'm not gonna dog on him too much because he's still a good guy.
If you grew up in my generation, you probably recognize this, the G36.
That is a
Call
sexy
of Duty
gun.
To Hollywood, to Call of Duty, the G36 is seen all over the place. But the real question is, what is it, how does it run, and does it suck? And to answer that question, we have a real G36K from HK itself. Not like directly from them. I'm pretty sure the German part of that company still hates the American market. But today we're gonna fuck with it and find out if I fuck with it.
Listen, beat them in 2 world wars and they just hate you all the time. Just saying. Just saying. Again, it's a very sexy gun. Sexy full auto.
Tactical reload. Teamwork. It makes the dream work.
That it does. Well, that's good to know that the recoil on that is fairly sustainable. Brandon shooting it behind his head. By the way, don't ever do that until you know what you're doing with the gun, that you're comfortable with the gun. Also note that you're going to have hot brass going down the back of your shirt and that shit's going to burn.
Hit one. What's going on, guys? Today we are finally going to delve into the G36. But before we do that, let me get away from the bisexual streamer lighting. There we go. That's better. The G36. What I have in my hands is an HK G36.
I would too, Jaded. Also, how are you doing, Jaded?
Is the G36C. They're very plastic. You might have noticed in years past, I've had this G36C on the wall for quite some time, and I just couldn't find a way to make it worth a video until I picked up this bad boy the other day. This is a real deal HK factory auto G36K. It's drip and drown, Spider-Man, and mein Bruder, we are swimming. And as some of you I've seen accurately point out in the comments, yes, my collection of video game / movie guns is growing quite nicely. Shiny. So the G36 was a German assault rifle. Yes, I said assault rifle. That is a legitimate term.
By the way, I know these are all working guns, so that's a working assault rifle from Halo. I think that's built off of a FAMAS. if I remember right, the person who built that. So pretty cool.
Referring to a rifle like this that is capable of both semi-auto and select fire capabilities. So when a blue hair on the news says that a semi-automatic AR-15 is an assault rifle, she is both fat and wrong. Anyway, like I said, the G36 is a German assault rifle that was developed by H&K as a replacement for the G3 platform. The G3, which is a really cool rifle, by the way, is a .308 battle rifle also developed by HK. But as time went on, people were kind of moving away from the battle rifles like the G3 and the FAL, and more toward the NATO 5.56 platforms. They wanted to trade beefier, heavier rounds for lighter ammunition and higher ammunition capacities, which is why the United States, for example, was moving away from things like the M14 and toward the AR-15. Luckily,
I will also say, yeah, 5.56 is way lighter than 30-06 or 308 by a lot. So you have 230 round magazines of 5.56, still way less than two like 15 round mags of 308 and stuff like that. It is way lighter. The only issue is you trade, you know, you have more ammo and pretty good stopping power and pretty good penetration power for something that usually if you hit someone, they're probably not getting up. And then, you know, we trade from that from the like 30-06 to 308 to 5.56, and 308 is still pretty good and pretty nasty. It's not like 30-06 where if you shoot a motherfucker with it, they're probably not going to exist in the afterlife. Let's just be honest. I've seen one. Like, don't get me wrong, it's not one of those like, oh, if you get hit by 30-06, you just turn into pink mist. No. Unless you hit them right in the right spot in the head, then their head becomes pink mist. But that also, there's a lot of different variables in that. But it's one of those things of, usually if you get shot by 30-06, you're probably not getting back up because the exit wound's really pretty gnarly. It's about 5 times bigger than the entry hole, and the entry hole is about, what, a nickel? A little bit smaller than a nickel, and it comes out about like a $50 size, a little bit bigger than a $50. Like it's not pretty, and anything that's in that path is probably not in your body anymore. 210 rounds of 5.56. Oh geez, that'd be that'd be so heavy, Jaded. I would die. 210 rounds of 308. Ugh, that's miserable.
That was a lesson that we learned about half a century ago, and we have not made that mistake again since.
Time is a flat circle.
But a lot of things were looked at as an alternative. For example, the G11, you know, the Kraut Space Magic. But for obvious reasons, that was a little bit, I mean, ahead of its time.
The G11 is weird.
Just way too complicated.
I guess you guys aren't ready for that yet, but your kids are gonna love it.
But in the early 90s, what was decided upon was this right here, the G36 platform. Have a standard 5.56 30-round magazine, optics rail on top with built-in iron sights.
I bet,
no
Jaded.
AR-15 style buffer tube assembly, meaning that you can have a folding stock where if you hit that button.
I have no doubt you moving around with a bitch, and you have to learn in the military. You have to learn to move like that. Well, depending on your branch. But depending on your branch, you either have to learn to run around with that much gear, and like weigh in at 350 pounds with your weight and gear, or weigh like 280 with your gear and be able to swim, or be a Marine and just ignore physics, or then you were Air Force and just woke up and drank your coffee, which was sludge, but that's besides the point.
And there, you could fold the stock inward. No button to pull it out, just rip that bitch open. Magazine release is, of course, there in a standard position. Your charging handle is de facto ambi, but you pull it out here, and then you just
Yep.
pull it to the rear, let it forward, and it goes back to the middle. Your fire control group, where you have, for example, safe, semi, and auto, is also ambidextrous. So it is linked. You can operate it from either side of the firearm. So all you wrong-handed people can operate this weapon.
I love that
Now, next, I
wrong-handed.
want to talk about something that's very important if you're like myself and you carry a handgun, the size of which may vary at user discretion. But as we covered in things like my most recent video about the legal self-defense shooting involving a transferable machine gun, very few people talk about the aftermath of what happens when you're put in the unfortunate situation where you have to use your weapon. And even if you did everything right, if you're not prepared, it's usually not great. But now Texans can have direct access to self-defense and firearm attorneys for less than the cost of a box of ammo. Our friends over at Armed Attorneys are now offering self-defense legal protection to Texans. You'll get 24/7
awesome.
access to real gun lawyers, especially
move
when you
to
need it the
Texas.
most. That's no out-of-pocket cost for unlimited attorney time in a covered self-defense incident, but also non-emergency access for all of your legal gun questions. I personally happen to have a pre-existing relationship with these guys, and they're the real deal. They're true Second Amendment advocates. They help write a lot of the gun law for the state of Texas. And I believe in them so much, I've actually signed on to personally
point.
be their first member from the state of Texas. So if you live in the state of Texas and this is something that interests you, which if you carry a gun daily, I would hope it would, you can join me in becoming a member at armedattorneys.com. And the promo code Brandon will hook you up with a $20 discount at member sign up.
I'm
I really
just
hope this
saying,
program kicks
that's
off well.
actually a
We
really
need more
good
people
deal
in the
for-
field. So if you want to check them out, links are
Texans.
down in the description and in the pinned comment. I'd also like to once again thank our channel sponsor, SDI. or the
'Cause there's
Southern
not a lot
Desert
of
Institute. If any of you have ever been
lawyer
interested in getting your
types that
start in
will
gunsmithing or
do
weapons
that
technology, consider
most
checking
other
out
states.
sdi.edu using the links down in the description and in the pinned comment. We appreciate their help in making videos like this possible. Back to the G36. Now, the magazine itself, this is a real HK G36 magazine. You can see it's got a little coupler here. So this is the female end, and this is the male end. I know that's probably improper for 2026, but
Yep.
wait, actually, technically this has both. So this is a, what would you call that? Unisex, I guess, which is actually more common than I actually thought previously, judging by the amount of shirts that they make for those people. Now, I would demonstrate how those magazine couplers work, but I am a poor boy, and I don't have another real HK G36 magazine, so you'll have to use your imagination or see this photo that Delance has been so kind to display on screen. ADD break. So today for the Echelon
kinda cool,
penetration
bro.
test, we have 3 lucky contestants here. 3 killer apple echelons, but the can that has a green tiger stripe type camo. Something that if you had this on a G36 back in the day, it means you were sweating at 3 o'clock in the morning on a school night, just pounding Mountain Dew or whatever the fuck it was back then. Code Red, is that still a thing?
Mountain Dew?
Yeah, Code Red. It was more of a Halo 3 thing. Anyway, we're off.
I mean, Call of Duty was Mountain Dew as well. Call of Duty and Halo was Mountain Dew. It's just Halo, you're drinking a lot of Code Red. Call of Duty, you were just drinking Mountain Dew. Surge was Surge was better. Surge was so good. God, Surge was amazing.
Topic. 3, 2, 1.
Yeah, and Brandon shoots like I do, missing the target all the time. Not that bad at shooting. But yes, I'm like, my groupings are decent. They could be way better. Hello, Kura. How's it
I
going?
really
How you
wish I
doing?
could just blame the iron sights for that one. I'll own up to it like a man. I just fucking jerked the trigger and missed. So now that we got that out of the way. No you don't. There we go.
When they're running away, you know it's time to go full auto.
Much better. So everyone is familiar.
I also want to state the cyclic rate on that full auto is actually really not that bad, considering he was able to release and only do a 3 round burst. So usually, well, I shouldn't say, but there's a lot of full autos that their cyclic rate is really high. So when you pull and release, you fired off like 7 rounds. or they're super slow, so you pull and release and you single shot. So it's like a weird thing. Like the P90, like what he's got right here, that P90 right there. You pull the trigger and you release in full auto, you're squeezing off like 7 rounds easily with its cycler rate. But that Tommy gun, the Tommy gun, you could do 3 round bursts with it. He doesn't have the vector up there, because vector is another one of those. It's a weird one. But yeah, that's pretty good cyclic.
Familiar with the G36.
That's good to hear.
I have a conspiracy theory as to
I love
why.
that.
So the G36 platform is like uniquely ubiquitous throughout Hollywood and television and all sorts of stuff, especially in Europe. I think the reason that is because it is so common in the airsoft world, or at least it was. I don't know anything about modern airsoft. I have real guns now. Sorry. Just kidding. Shouts out to the airsofters. You'll get real guns one day. But I think that's what they use in props a lot in places like the UK.
A lot of
and whatnot,
airsofters end up being gun
shows
nuts.
like Doctor Who, where it's just the G36 is any we need an assault rifle, and they just have 30 G36s.
He's a good.
Between that and Call of Duty, it just
I miss him too. He's been, like I said, he's been down. I did reach out to him yesterday.
Tommy-built clones. This right here is the Tommy-built G36C. I remember when I bought this thing, I thought it was the coolest fucking thing ever. And yeah, first mag I ran through it. I think it died on the first shot because I was using steel case ammo, which. Okay, debatable. Sure, that's fine. But we just had nonstop problems ever since. I mean, I think a lot of what happened with Tommy Built, like doing a post-mortem, is, to my understanding, they were using a lot of like HK parts kits in the very beginning. They had a very good reputation, but I think they were relying more and more on a lot of like recreation, like replica parts and things like that. I'm not sure if this is the experience that everyone has
I've been
had.
trying
I just know
to,
that this gun has really just.
I let him know. It's like, you ever need to talk, and I'm in. If I'm not streaming, I'm in voice chat in my Discord. Jump on in, too.
Well, that's not good. Take 2.
You just got jammed.
Take 3.
And this is that clone one, so.
Take this gun out of my hands. Tommy Built is now out of business, I believe.
So that's the.
I will say it was not because of the quality of their firearms.
That's a G36C is what you call it. So
by the ATF, specifically, I believe, over the G36s. The ATF retroactively essentially just said that all their receivers that they were building on were actually machine guns. Why did they say this? Who fucking knows? And who cares? Because now it's the law. Because Rob Cicada, please hunt that man down and smack his pee-pee. Anyway, to their credit, they tried to help out as many people as possible. Their customers who were dealing with that situation, you know. But that was just something that was probably the last nail in the coffin for them, which is sad. People having their entire livelihood fucked over by the government is it's always a tragedy.
Yeah, fuck the ATF.
But anyhow, because of the piston system of the G36, something that
I already
kind of
stated I don't like the
it's got
ATF.
This weird, like, it doesn't really have a harsh recoil impulse.
They are
does
not.
kind of float, like it just kind of rocks.
Just to remind everyone, the ATF, their entire job is to enforce the laws of alcohol, tobacco, and firearms. They are not allowed to create new laws, yet we allow them to. They are a law enforcement agency. The creation of laws is at the level of Congress, our Senate, and our House of Representatives. That's where laws are made. The ATF is not allowed to make new laws. They're only allowed to uphold those laws. We've allowed them to make new laws so fucking much. I think anything that they made a law for should be abolished just because they made a law and they're not allowed to make laws. There are laws that they have made need to be abolished or sent into Congress to be looked at, read, deciding if they should pass it, vote on passing it or not, and then go to the Supreme Court to see if it is if it's constitutionally correct. Simple as that. Simple as that. Will that ever happen? More than likely not, because our government likes to fuck us. Anyways. Yeah, many regulations. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, the administrative guidelines. This falls within the guidelines of no, fuck you.
A little bit. Something we found to be very similar to the AK style, like the AK 102s. It was an observation Zach made, and then I shot him back to back, and I'll be damned, I get it.
That's a sexy AK. Damn, that is a sexy AK. I'm not big into AKs,
I see
but that's
exactly
sexy.
what you're talking about. As far as the recoil impulse, it doesn't push back. It just kind of like, I don't know, it bobs up a little bit every round. I don't know. It's weird.
So how does this gun work? Well, let's take her apart and get all up in those G36 guts. First of all, you're gonna clear the gun by removing the mag.
Yeah, only half mass because it's an AK. Listen, AK platform, it's a gun that just doesn't want to break, and I love it. Awesome. I just don't like AKs normally. It's partially because I don't like the Russians, but that's besides the point. It's a good, reliable gun. I'm never going to state that an AK is not a good, reliable gun, because they usually are really reliable and really good. At the same time, they also don't use the normal things. Oh, you're one of those. Hold on. Sorry. That's one of those people. Thanks for the follow, but I already know what you are. Sorry. Bye.
Magazine, running the charging handle, and then negligently discharging in the parking lot. Next, much like a lot of other HK guns, we're gonna rely on pulling out a bunch of push pins. Starting with this one back here, we're gonna pull it out, and there's like 4 pins on this gun that that we can pull.
Yeah, freaking bots.
These are very easy for your average infantryman to lose. And obviously, as you can see, these are non-captive pins. Like the AR-15 has captive pins, so it means they stay in the receiver of the gun.
Yeah, that's something I love about when working on my AK, or on my AR, not my AK, because I don't have an AK, but on my AR is like when I'm cleaning and everything. You push out those push pins and you pull them all the way, and then they just kind of stop, so they can't be fully removed. Kind of nice. HK doesn't care. They're like, well, don't lose this shit, because if you do, it's expensive. And if you're buying one of our guns, you should have money. And if you don't have money, how'd you get one of our guns?
These just fall the fuck out, so it's easy to lose. If only HK would have come up with something that would have retained these pins. Oh, will you look at that? On the bottom of the stock, there's a convenient place where I can store those pins while it's being disassembled.
That is very convenient. That's nice.
Pop that out, stick that there. So now we're gonna pull out our very HK style fire control group. This is where the magic happens. Next, just for funsies, we're gonna go ahead.
And technically, that is the only thing that has to be registered with the government, because that's where the serial number is going to be, and that's fire control group. That's the only thing that has to be registered. Also, the only thing that prevents people from buying one of those, because I don't think you can get a civilian semi-automatic version. You can only get that actual version, so that means you have to go through more fucking paperwork.
Ahead and pull out our magwell. Pop that right out like so. It's all plastic, so whenever it hits the floor, it sounds like a Lego being killed. Pull out this front pin, which is going to remove our handguard. Pull that right off.
God, that is just so
now
easy
our gas
to
system is exposed.
take apart.
Here in the front,
It's
we
so
can
nice.
clearly see our gas piston. So now it's time to fold the stock. Now we're gonna pull this out of the back of the gun. This is going to be our recoil spring assembly. Now we're gonna run our bolt carrier back, push it through. And voila, we have our bolt and carrier. Now, of course, we have our AR-15 style star pattern bolt here on the front and our cam and cam groove there on the side. Honestly, this reminds me a whole lot of, you know, like the SCAR, for example.
Yeah,
And we got
that's
a little
very...
dongle up top, which is our ambidextrous charging handle. So unlike things like the AR-15, the charging handle is directly mated and welded to the bolt carrier itself. So when the gun is fired, this is in battery.
Yeah, because like on an AR, the charging handle is its own separate thing. So it's a hook base, so it sits at the top and then it hooks into the bolt carrier. So when you grab it, pull it. But when you're disassembling your gun, you pull out your bolt carrier and then you have to like kind of push forward and then down, and then you can pull out the charging handle. And it's its own little plastic piece. It's nice, but you know, I can see where this can be an issue if this breaks. And then you have to go and get HK to get you a new one, which is going to be expensive. Again, if you own an HK, you probably have money. And if you own an HK and you don't have money, then how'd you afford an HK?
In the locked position, preventing the bolt carrier from traveling rearward. The bullet flies down the barrel until it hits about here, in which case it starts bleeding off gas into our gas block here. That's where it hits our piston, and the piston then retreats back. It's a short stroke piston. Long stroke is when it's part of the bolt carrier assembly itself. Piston comes back and it smacks our bolt carrier right here at the front, which then unlocks our bolt from the chamber and allows this to go backward, which then ejects the round using our ejector here. As it travels through the gun, resetting the hammer and then being pushed back forward by the recoil spring assembly, which then loads a new cartridge. To reassemble said gun, you just shove this shit right back in the rear, throw the recoil spring assembly back in, retain that with the stock, mag well here, slam that back in. Now we can take our fire control group, throw that in as well, take our push pins back from earlier. Also, this just reminds me of like the peg game. I don't know if you ever grew up like going to like Cracker Barrel or Bob Evans or something like that. That little like IQ test peg game they had back in the day. Because if there's one
Then I will state, I'm not autistic with guns. I just understand them. So, am I slightly autistic for guns? Yes. But not as much as I am with cars, okay? So, there's a huge, vast difference. I'm like, I know, like I can take apart a car really easily. Guns, I'm like, okay, I understand it. So I can do it. I do.
The Germans love. It's getting pegged. I'm a quarter German. Moving on, throwing our handguard back on in the front.
Well, there was that sexual joke. I mean, usually if they're not getting pegged, they're getting... Never mind. Never mind. We're just going to continue on before I finish that joke.
Slide that on in. Take our final peg to the front. And we are now back in business. Ready to fight for the future of Germany, which is okay now because they're an ally.
Kind of.
Ladies and gentlemen, the G36K. Fun little gun, definitely iconic. You've seen it all over Hollywood, all over video games, and now you've seen it on my channel, which is a massive downgrade. The real question though, does it suck? What do I think about it? After getting some time with a couple of different variants of this gun, I think the answer is just like the AK, not unlike the AK. It runs great and it's a cool little gun as long as it was built properly, which is the key operating phrase, especially in the gun industry in 2026. And if you're watching this from the future, I'm confident it's still true.
Also, sorry this video is a little behind schedule. We had to cancel our original film date due to a bit of a natural disaster. If you follow the news, I'm sure you've seen West Texas is getting a lot more floodwater again. Thankfully, not nearly as violent as it was last year with all the Kerrville floods, but a lot of it was in my district, specifically in places like Uvalde. And while the loss of life was nowhere near what it was last year, it was still pretty bad. We tried to film a few videos over at Ox Ranch and Drive Tanks, but we literally couldn't because the roads were destroyed. So I've been spending the last few days up there trying to help as much as we can, in what limited capacity we can. Getting water and things like energy drinks to first responders that are, pulling all-nighters.
I will state this. Yes, I know he's a YouTuber. Yes, I know he's going to be a politician here soon. Because there's like there's a chance, very small. I mean, yeah, he's got some hefty competition, but it's a very small chance that he loses. But this can easily he's going out to make sure on people because they're in his district and he's just trying to get their votes, stuff like that. That's very much a real like talking point, and I'm pretty sure he's one of those people that even if he wasn't running for office, he'd be like, shit, people need my help. He's done it before. He doesn't care. He's not like out there, virtue signaling or posting, oh, look at all the great work I'm doing. Look how I'm helping. He's not doing that. Like, because I know that there was flooding. I follow him on X, but he wasn't. He posted about it once. Hey, helping people out during these floods. So things are a little behind. Sorry, guys. That's his only post about it. He's not seen their posting. Like, I'm pretty sure he's got some pictures because people are like, hey, let me get a picture. Hey, let me get a picture. While they're like drained and everything, was like, hey, let's get a picture with Brandon Herrera. That's one thing versus him going out there and like, look at all this help I'm doing. Selfie time. Snap. Yeah, no. Flooded 3 or 4 days. Oh. Yeah, last summer was pretty bad because that was disastrous down in Texas last summer. But still, that's a lot of water. A lot of water.
Sure. A lot of the same things we did in Kerrville last year. I did also start a GoFundMe. If you'd like to contribute to that, I'm sure people would be extremely grateful just to help with relief for a lot of the victims in the Uvalde area. I donated the first $10,000 out of pocket myself, but anything you could do, I'm sure would be greatly appreciated from the folks on the ground. So I will leave the links to that in the description and in the pinned comment. The FG42 was just to hold your attention.
Anyhow, I appreciate you
Good
guys
old
for watching all the
FG42.
way to the end. Thank you to Drive Tense for allowing
or
us
San
to
Antonio.
continually squat at their property. And I will see you sexy YouTube mother lovers in the next video. Thanks.
Fuel is my obsession to make the perfect weapon, like Rasputin's rise to the top. But you can stop.
Yep.
And here we have our piston clearly exposed
Fuck,
there in the. And here in the front we have.
I'm just saying.
Fuck.
Feel bad for the people that don't deserve San Antonio, okay? But yeah, like again, that's a awesome weapon. I wish I could afford one and own one, but I can't. So it is what it is. But at the same time, it's funny that, it's not funny. It's great to see that Brent's still being him and willing to help out, even if he doesn't have to. So, because he's the real one. For now. I don't think he's going to change much. I don't foresee him doing much. I don't see him doing more than this first term, maybe 2 terms at most. Because he's doing something that is needed, not something he wants to do. He doesn't want to be a politician. He just wants to keep making dumb videos on the internet. But he's willing to do the job if needed. But anyways, that was Brandon Herrera and the G36, the HKG. Go check it.